Hi, Dyslexic Genius here, Brett Hurt. I want to talk about early Edisons from the 1890s, the late 1890s, like an Edison, like a 4-clip standard or an Edison home, and things that you need to look at when you're tearing a phonograph apart. Well, let's first start with the lead screw right here. And the lead screw has a bearing like this. And that 60-degree point runs in here, and that's how you do it. But my sweet angel, focus in. You see the burrs here on the edge, the boogers? So what happens is, this is the bearing, and the bearing goes in this way, and the other bearing goes down here. What people want to do is they want to beat the bearing out without hurting this point. And before you start driving the bearing this way, because the end of the bearing's flat, you need to look very closely to see if there's burrs here. Because if you go this way and the burr catches inside the hole, it'll break the casting. What you have to do now is, if it's stuck, you put whatever penetrating lubricant you want to use, and then you come in with a brass punch on the steel bearing. That way you won't hurt the tip, and you can drive it out this way.
So you're going to punch the tip.
I'm going to punch the tip, but you have to use brass to get it out. And this happens all the time. People just beat on these things, think, you know, Uncle Bubba thinks he knows how to fix it. The other problem that came in, this is a new casting for this 2-clip, this 4-clip standard, because in its life, somebody broke the casting here, probably trying to drive out the shaft here that holds the carriage. So here's the part they bondoed in very nicely, and they put a screw in. When you screw this screw down to tighten this shaft, and the casting is broken and you've tried to fix it with like Bondo, when you screw that down, it'll just lift your part right off of it. Because the force is coming off the screw onto the shaft, and it just, oh, I'll just go up this way. That happens all the time.
So the Bondo did not hold?
Mm-hmm. The Bondo did not hold. And when you take motors apart, you'll look at this, and this is a modern cotter key. Yeah, they had a cotter key in here, or a pin, and somebody's been in here before me. And the other thing is, before you take these apart, you want to make sure that they're wound down. You want to look at the motor while it's running down here. And yes, the shaft that's coming out here that drives the belt pulley, which is in backwards.
It's in backwards?
It's in backwards.
It's really wobbling.
Oh yeah, I'll fix all this. But you're thinking, okay, everything's running, this is good. But that is in backwards. There's an indentation on this side, and somebody flipped it around. See, some drive wheels on Edison go one way, like I talked on the Edison home, where the thick part went toward the motor. On these, it goes the other direction. You have to really know what you're looking at. So if you pull the bearing off this, and you go, oh, there's an indentation, maybe it goes the other direction. And these are just things you need to look at when you start to work on a phonograph. The other thing is, you take it like this, the Edison C off these, you know, my angel, the linkage pin is off, but right there, where my finger is, the sapphire stylus is gone. Mm-hmm. You know, when you ship these to anybody, don't just throw them in a bag and ship it to somebody, because it'll break off in shipment. These are just things I wanted to point out, taking apart. You have to pay attention of how things come apart and how things go together. So on the bearings, I'm going to I'll file those ends down a little and kind of round them off so they'll slide in. And that's why I flex hone these holes before assembly and polish out the bearings so everything slides in smoothly, goes back and forth, and there's no force onto the phonograph. You know, I love this hobby. And that's my tip for the day.